I've got 1792 foolproof, which, if my math is correct, 1792 was the last time Georgia Tech beat us. Is that right? I may be off a little bit, but not that much, right?
I was told there'd be no math, so I'm not sure if I can figure that out or not. Welcome to My Got a Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I preview the 2022 edition of Clean Old Fashioned Hate, and we answer questions from you, our listeners. As always, remember to check out store.mygotapodcast.com to see our latest merch, and you can follow us on social media at My Got a Podcast. Finally, we'd love for you to check out our presenting sponsor, AxiaTime, at axiatime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. Now, let's join the conversation in progress. All right, John, let's you want to just start off with what we've got here tonight?
The bourbons?
Yeah. So I can go first.
I don't have any bottle pop. I don't
You
have
got
a bottle
pop?
pop.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So I at times try to pick something that kind of goes along with the opponent. And so this was my best attempt to do that here. So I've got larceny.
Okay.
So a couple of things there. So one, what is the larceny brand known for, right? So for that, the key in the bottle. And Tech is now led by their interim head coach, Brent Key. So that was really there as well.
I thought you were going to say like we were going to beat Georgia Tech, like we stole something.
Well, see, actually, where the next place I was going is like, Georgia Tech lies and cheats. And what does larceny mean? To steal. So,
yes. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
And like that's at least when I was in college, like that was how they beat us by cheating and having phantom fumbles and things of that nature. So that's my that was my relation into the opponent there.
Yep. Awesome. I had a tough week this week, and still having a tough week. So I have dipped into the barrel proof, the foolproof. I've got 1792 foolproof, which, if my math is correct, 1792 was the last time Georgia Tech beat us. Is that right? I may be off a little bit, but not that much, right?
I was told there'd be no math, so I'm not sure if I can figure that out or not.
That's what
nice.
I got.
Nice.
Foolproof.
Well done. Do we? I don't know if we want to start with this or not, because I think some things are maybe kind of up in the air about attending the game. Are we going to be in attendance? Do we know yet?
I mean, I'm locked in. It's just a matter of who's coming with me.
Okay. Got it. Okay, fair enough. Nice.
Yeah. So I guess it's supposed to rain, which I know we'll get there on the weathers. But I was supposed to go make a day of it in Athens with the wife. I've got tickets. I've got a nice parking spot, although apparently there's not a whole lot of tailgating around the area that we were going to park at, but for noon games anyway. So we'll see. May just try to grab a spot downtown and see if I can go hit up some breakfast downtown and then hit up the usual spots.
Right.
But yeah, that's the plan is for me to attend because I have tickets.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, we should be there. Or well, not we should be. Again, I guess similar. I don't know. We've ironed out who all is going for sure within our whole group, but yeah, I'll be there. Kim is planning to come as well. She hasn't been able to make it to a game all season, so there were multiple times where like we were planning on going. I think like Auburn and Tennessee. Originally, she was going to come, but things have been popping up around at home, and she hasn't been able to make it down. So excited for that. That should be a good time. I was a little bummed to see with the weather and everything, but it is what it is.
Yeah, your wife is tougher than mine.
What's that?
Your wife is tougher than mine because mine saw the weather forecast was like, I ain't going if it's raining.
Well, I didn't break that news to her until today, which it's Tuesday, by the way. And she was just kind of like, so we haven't discussed it at length. She actually we attempted to watch the Kentucky game like on our back porch, and it got pretty cold, and so we ended up coming in for the second half, and like she actually at that very moment ordered hand warmers for the Tech game so that she would not be cold in Sanford Stadium.
It's not supposed to be particularly cold, but
it's actually not. Yeah, the temperature isn't as cold as I was thinking it was going to be. So there is that piece at least. So
right.
But so if you're able to do that, so you don't have I guess is soccer season like no soccer Thanksgiving weekend kind of deal, or what's going on with the kids' activities?
We got nothing this weekend.
Yeah.
Carter had some goalkeeping stuff and some Olympic stuff this past weekend and today. But he's off. He's off for right now.
Okay. We'll be doing like a bit of a tour to Georgia. So we're gonna head down tomorrow on Wednesday and go hang out with Kim's parents on her side of the family and do Thanksgiving with them. And then we'll be trekking back over to Athens on I think Friday and spend the rest of the weekend there with my family. And kind of toting around the girls, which Ella is still a little on the mend. She had her wisdom teeth out last Friday. So, I remember being all out of it afterwards, but what my parents didn't have back then that I have now is a camera phone. So I was able to take some hilarious videos of her ramblings coming out, and it was quite amazing. So definitely have your camera phone with you when your kids come out of their wisdom teeth surgery. It makes for lots of fun.
That's funny. Are we gonna get to see the videos?
I mean, maybe. I'm not gonna post them to the socials, but I can show you one of them.
save them for the wedding. Save them for the wedding video.
Right. Exactly. Good stuff. All right. I guess we can jump into the matchup items. So kickoff is Saturday at noon. It's like we did mention that. A nooner yet again. At this point, kind of is what it is. Dooley Field at Sanford Stadium. Georgia comes into this game 11-0, 8-0 in the SEC. Georgia Tech comes in. Georgia Tech comes in at 5-6, 4-4 in the ACC. I gotta say, like they're ahead of what I thought they were going to do this year. I actually wrote like a season preview thing about Tech for Dog Central over the summer, and I'm trying to remember. I think like their under win total was 3.5, and I took the under. I guess I didn't fully believe they would fire Geoff in the middle of the season. Maybe I don't know. But at any rate, so on that, I already mentioned when we were talking about the Bourbons, but they're led by their interim head coach Brent Key. He is actually they're 4-3 since he took over for the aforementioned Geoff Collins. The history of the series, so all time, Georgia leads the all-time series 69, 39, and 5. Georgia is obviously ranked number 1 in every poll imaginable, and Georgia Tech is not ranked. The game is on the big ESPN. We've got Bob Wischusen. I don't know if I said that right or not. As a play-by-play, Dan Orlovsky as the analyst, which I actually think he does a pretty good job, by the way, just for what it's worth. And then
he's no Gary.
He's no Gary, right. So somebody reached out and was like, you know what, you guys are right. Gary wasn't too bad. I can't remember who brought that up on Twitter.
I mean, there's been multiple. It's not like it's not like it's an unpopular take or a hot take or anything like that. But fair. I've decided, and you, me, and British Bulldog were talking about this past weekend during the broadcast for the Kentucky game. Was that I don't think it's necessarily what Gary says. It's the sound that his little throat makes.
Okay, fair enough.
It's the sound of his voice that is sometimes quite annoying, because I found it quite annoying at various points. But I was like, he's right. But gosh, that was
right.
Annoying.
Right. It wasn't what he said. It was how he said it.
Yes,
right?
It is.
Nice. The official hashtag that we won't use, I believe it is GT versus UGA. They had the wrong one where I pulled these, so I'm gonna guess. So John, what I have found is it does appear to be road team first, followed by home team. just looking at history. So I believe that will be the official hashtag. And then, like we talked about the weather, so overcast with rain showers at times. High of 61 though, so I think throughout the day it's supposed to be like 51 to 61. With the game kicking off at noon, it should be getting warmer throughout the game. Not going to be having like temperature dropping so much. The issue is those showers at times. Last I checked, there's like a 60% chance of rain. I've seen that fluctuate all over the place this week. So hopefully that'll go down. Would love to not have to deal with rain, but I can deal with rain at 61 degrees a lot better than some other Georgia Tech games where it's rained in the past. I've dealt with much worse at Sanford Stadium against these guys in the past. So, just one other thing to call out is it is senior day. So if you're going to be there, if you're coming out to the game, I would say, make sure to get to your seats early on time so you can see the seniors get honored. Some for the second time. I think there's like over 8 guys that walked last year on senior day that came back, and are gonna walk again. So definitely always good to get out there to honor those guys, see them run out and greet their family on the field was always fun.
Yep, agreed. Especially given the fact that like other in years past we've missed out on this game, so it's important to send the seniors out with a bang.
That felt like a segue into some fun facts, John. I don't know, maybe potentially.
we can get into some fun facts. Do you want to start with the thing that I sent you, or
actually, let's say I actually had it was a bit of a trivia question. Yeah,
okay,
related to what you just said. When is the last time we played Georgia Tech at home?
Ooh, wasn't it 2018?
Correct, 2018. So
yeah,
obviously did not play Georgia Tech in the COVID year because it was the SEC only schedule. So that led to that. So okay, so let's get to what you said. Do you want to introduce this, or should I just play it and then you'll explain it?
How do we want to do this? Let's. I'll give a little intro and then you can play the song. I guess. Okay. So our brethren on North Avenue. Which I can say brethren because one of the founders of Georgia Tech was Nathaniel Edwin Harris, who is a graduate of the University of Georgia. I don't know if you knew this or not, but one of the men that was instrumental in bringing the Georgia Tech into existence was a University of Georgia graduate. So they say, to hell with Georgia, but without Georgia, you wouldn't exist. Sorry, guys. Henry W. Grady was actually also very much involved in this situation as well. So there is a big UGA connection to the fact that they even exist.
Nice.
And with that, I'm going to segue that into their fight song, the Ramblin' Wreck from Georgia Tech, Hell of an Engineer, whatever it's called. This song was actually, it's sung to the tune of Son of a Gambolier, which is an old folk song about a man singing about the fact that he's the son of a gambler and lives in poverty. So take with that what you will, dear listener, and give a gander to this tune.
All right, here we go.
I'm a rambling wretch of poverty from Tipperary town. I came to this poverty, compelled me first to go out in the rain. In all sorts of weather, be it wet or be it dry, I am bound to get my livelihood or lay me down and die.
Oh man, what in the world? I had no idea. I literally learned that tonight. I did not know that whatsoever.
So I saw this in the fun facts. I think it's actually listed on Georgia Tech's website that it was, the song was, sung to the tune from an old folk song. And I was like, hang on a second, let me see what that song was. It's literally a guy singing about poverty. So they're a poverty school. We actually kicked them into poverty because they were a founding member of the SEC and decided to leave.
Yep.
And several years later, they tried to come back. I believe it was in like the 60s or something like that. They tried to come back, and UGA basically said no.
Yeah.
Veto. And yeah, we kind of vetoed it because we had already been established, right? We had The SEC was like, "Do you guys want to let them in back in?" And we're like, "No, leave them out in the leave them out in the cold." And they were out in the cold for 15 years before they joined the ACC. So there's that. They were an independent school for 15 years, I believe it was.
That I did know. Yeah, I did remember that.
Yeah. So anyway, sucks to be you. Period.
Nice. I had
I have one more. I have one more fun fact. Sorry.
No, yeah, hit it.
I do have one more. Well, two more fun facts. Apparently, as it's probably well known that George O'Leary was like one of the first main like coaches to like mainstream the banning of the color red.
Mm.
Did you know this?
No, I don't remember this.
Apparently, you're not allowed to wear the color red, and George O'Leary was like one of the coaches that like was hard nosed about this.
Okay.
Apparently, if you showed up with the color red on in meetings, or like if he saw you, like he would have an equipment manager like find you, give you a gold or a white shirt, and take away your red shirt, never to be seen again.
Interesting. Okay. And so this is a George O'Leary thing.
This started with George O'Leary, apparently. Okay. I could go back and look at some more intimate details, but that was like some stories that I saw some Georgia Tech former players telling, was that the color red was banned, much in the same way that like the Ohio State, Michigan kind of thing, like you're not allowed to wear red at Michigan or whatever. Yeah, they have that kind of rule. Also, apparently, and this is something that I'm blanking on this. Owens, the defensive tackle Owens. Do you remember?
The guy that played at Georgia, Jeff Owens?
Yeah, Jeff Owens. Yep, Jeff Owens. Apparently, he has a story where he talked about the Bulldogs in the urinals at the athletic center.
Okay.
So they have Bulldogs that you pee on at the athletic center that Jeff Owens was talking about, like when he went on recruiting visits and stuff. He said, not a lot of people know this, but they have Bulldogs in the urinals.
Interesting. God.
How petty.
Yeah. Obsessed much? Like, as I said, they wouldn't exist without us, as we already learned. And they basically like their whole existence is like, I don't know, to talk about us. I don't know. Like they're I don't know, they're so obsessed. Like whatever. Very little brother syndrome over there.
If you are in an off season where you're not winning very many games, this is the game you don't want to lose.
Yeah,
I think it was Kirby. Wasn't Kirby talking about it this week, where he was like, "If you don't think that this is a rivalry, lose to him."
Yeah, that actually got that got mentioned somewhere recently, and I feel like it was attributed to Ray Goff, but wherever I heard it, but I thought it was. I feel like I heard Jim Donnan say that, because like that's literally why Jim Donnan got fired after he lost to them three times in a row. So yeah, agreed.
Hey, UGA fan, dear listener, if our recent experience with Tennessee fans is any inclination, I want to beat every single one of these people. Everybody wearing orange, everybody wearing gold and black. Like, let's just beat everybody.
Yeah,
and wish them a long, slow death when they're not playing us. Like forevermore. Do not care. Lose.
Nice. So I'm just gonna pile on with a couple more of like the what is a rivalry and isn't. I say that it's not a rivalry unless you argue about the record, and we do argue about the record because in this one, actually, we don't count two Georgia Tech wins that happened during World War II. So 1943 and 1944, we don't count them because Georgia Tech utilized players from a naval officers training program that was hosted on campus, and they trotted them out there on the team and beat us, and so we don't honor those. And then this is interesting. From 1917 to 1924, Georgia and Georgia Tech did not play each other because of a dispute caused by a Georgia parade float that ridiculed Tech for playing football during World War I. So some bad blood during times of war between these schools, apparently, back in the day. So definitely old rivalry.
It doesn't surprise me that there would be petty about wartime arguments, considering that the Battle of Atlanta was the South conceded the state, a city, on Georgia Tech's campus. So just surrender.
Nice. All right, let's hit the news and notes, shall we?
Let's.
All right. So I mentioned earlier that it is senior day. And one of the things with that is this is the last time we get to see the mailman between the hedges. So kind of crazy how things have shifted with him from, legit former walk-on and everything, and then all the way up to starter and leading us to the Natty. So never back in 2017 when we were hearing about him in the Rose Bowl practices would we have imagined thinking ahead to something like this in this season with his last game here between the hedges. So pretty crazy there. Also did want to call out Kirby actually opened his press conference with this. So if you're going to be in Athens this weekend, if you're there on Friday night at 7:30 p.m. at Stegman Coliseum, there is a Vince Dooley celebration of life. It's free to enter, and they're definitely encouraging everyone to attend. So if you're in town, just know that that's available, and you can go do that. I know Kirby said there's a game the next day, so I think he said he's going to make an appearance. He'll be there for a part of it. So again, if you're in town and you can make it, I just want to make sure everyone knew about that. On the injury front, it sounds like AD Mitchell is just out at this point. Like he didn't even use hopeful. I didn't see anything like that in there. So I don't know. I don't know without AD, and I know we've talked about that a lot, John, about how disappointing that is. But I don't know what to make of it. I had kind of targeted this game. I thought he was going to be on the Pickens path, but doesn't look like it from what I can hear.
I'm not super confident about it. Just being real.
Yep. And then the only other thing on that front I saw was around Tate Ratledge. So he didn't go against Kentucky. And they've said he had a shoulder subluxation. They said he probably could have gone against Kentucky, but they held him out for precautionary reasons. So we'll see. I don't know if we'll see Tate Ratledge this week or not. But I know Devin Willock had a pretty good game last week, so we'll see. But something to watch for sure. Okay. And then a couple of things just on nothing else from the press conference, but just some notes on Georgia Tech. So they are 2-0 versus ranked opponents since Brent Key took over as the interim head coach. And that includes last week over number 13 North Carolina on the road. And then also back on October 1st, it was the first game when Key was the head coach. Interim head coach, they won at number 24 Pittsburgh. So just something interesting to note. Both those games on the road against ranked opponents. So something to watch out for.
Yes.
All right, let's see. Why don't we dive right in? I think starting with the Georgia offense. And against the Georgia Tech defense. So kind of what we're looking for, some people to call out, things like that. So I'll just start off with some Georgia Tech defensive players to be on the lookout for. And I've actually got pronunciations, John, on a couple of these. I went to the pronunciation guide. So Ayinde Healy is a linebacker. He is their leading tackler with 107 tackles. He is second in the ACC in tackles. They also have the ACC's third leading tackler in Charlie Thomas at 104 tackles. Defensive back LaMiles Brooks has 3 interceptions on the season. And then Keon White has 7.5 sacks. That's second in the ACC for sacks on the season. But I will call out 3 of those 7.5 sacks were all in the game against North Carolina last week. So just a couple of Tech players to be out on the lookout for.
Okay.
I don't know. As far as what to look for when Georgia has the ball, I think I'm not that I'm like an expert on Georgia Tech. I have seen a little bit of them. I watched like one of their Thursday night games. Watching them, I would say similar to kind of like what I was saying about Kentucky last week, in that like their problem is that they can't outscore what their defense is allowing, and their defense isn't giving up a ton of points. So it doesn't feel like defense is so much their issue. Their defense pretty good against the teams that I've seen them play against. They got on some kind of roll against North Carolina last week. I mean, they scored 21 unanswered. I think North Carolina was up 17-0 and Tech scored 21 unanswered. But I will also say, like, North Carolina put together the game-winning drive, and they dropped the game-winning touchdown in the end zone or on the goal line. So, like they were able to give that back up.
I mean, you say that the defense is not their problem, but like I'm looking through some of these score lines, and I don't know, Jim.
Yeah, they have been some big ones.
It looks like it is their problem.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they've given up. So on average, they give up, like, against Power 5 teams, like 27 points a game. So yeah, you're right. Yeah, they did get some. I think Miami put up a lot on them not too long ago. So,
well, you got Miami, Ole Miss,
Clemson, Ole Miss,
Florida State. I mean, these I think the lowest of those, like, main, like, big schools or whatever, that was like 35 points against Miami. Now, that said, Pittsburgh 26. They only let Pittsburgh, who's their, like, I guess one of two ranked opponents that they've played. And
I mean, some of the, like, that Ole Miss game was that was still back with Geoff, for what that's worth. So, but I mean, those other ones weren't. Miami. I mean, that was just 2 games ago. So Florida State certainly wasn't, and Florida State put up 41 on them. So fair. I will say, though, they are Georgia Tech as a team, they are plus 11 in the turnover margin. So,
oh boy.
Yeah. So that's where we've got to say, I'm going to word it this way, John. I want to say we need to protect the ball. Okay. Protect the football. And I'm borrowing this from something that I heard Jake Fromm say, actually, on Punt and Pass. And I liked his logic behind it. Because he was talking about the turnover problems that we've had of late. And he was saying, I think Drew Butler had asked him, like, what is, as a coach, like, what is a coach saying to the team? And he was saying, like, what you don't say, don't turn the ball over. Because when you say don't do something, you end up doing that something, right? So let's turn it around and let's think of it in a positive light. So let's say protect the football. So we need to protect the football. We need to take care of it and keep it to ourselves on offense. I mean, that's going to be a major key here. And then also, like, I mean, Kenny McIntosh, we talked about him at length in the Kentucky review. I mean, he was lights out against Kentucky. I feel like when he fumbled the ball against Florida, that was like a demarcation point for him in the season. And he's been excellent after that fumble, ever since that fumble. He is now the leading rusher on the team for the season. So he's taken that back. Dejon Edwards is no longer the leading rusher for Georgia. It's Kenny McIntosh. I feel like he's kind of asserted himself back as running back 1. So he's going to be a guy I'm definitely going to watch out for on Saturday.
Okay. I do not dispute these.
Now, you witnessed Georgia Tech in Atlanta last year, and I do remember there was a pretty nice connection going on between one Stetson Bennett and one Brock Bowers.
Brock Bowers was a major factor in the last game. It was one of those games where it was just, like, nice to have been there to see that, because I feel like it's one of those things where, the kids are going to look back on it and be like, I was there. I saw him.
Yeah. and I mean, like, I don't know. I guess we'll see on the weather, right? Like, I don't know. Like, I know we dialed things back against Tennessee in the rain. It doesn't sound like it's supposed to be like a downpour like that. I mean, because that was like some serious rain.
Quarter of an inch total or something.
Yeah. But so, like, what are we going to be doing offensively? I mean, sentimentally, I'd love for the mailman to go out with a nice outing at home in his last home game. That'd be pretty cool.
On his senior day in front of his mama. I like that.
Yeah.
That would be nice. I have a feeling that we have gotten to the point of the schedule, and I mentioned this on the Kentucky episode, but, like, I'm not necessarily of the, like, conspiracy theorists of they're trying to manufacture adversity, but I definitely think that we're in the area of control the game, and if the game is controlled, we will shut it down.
Okay.
Like, it's one of those, it feels like it should be like a name your score type game. The 11 interceptions that these boys have is a little bit concerning to me because it's effectively like pretty much guaranteed an interception per game on average, right? For these guys.
Well, it's not even that they're plus 11 in the turnover margin. I actually don't know how many picks they've had. It could be, you could, if you're pulling that from somewhere, but what I was saying was that their turnover margin they're plus 11. So they've taken away 11 more than they've given.
Yeah. Well,
So,
that concerns me for sure.
Yeah.
But yes, they actually have 11 interceptions on the game on the season.
Okay. Got it.
Which, as you and I know, it's something that our boy Stetson is kind of struggling with right now. So
Yeah.
they also have 12 forced fumbles and 12 fumble recoveries. So you want to talk about luck, like, and how lucky you have to be to force 12 fumbles and recover 12 fumbles.
That's crazy.
That's pretty phenomenal. So I guess we need to watch out and just like if we're in a situation where we were like, and this honestly happened in the last game where there were situations where I felt like that they were trying to rip the ball out of us because we were getting held up, but that we are still moving forward and our forward progress is still continuing. If that happens, like we need to watch out for these characters. The Ellie guy.
Mm-hmm.
He has 3 interceptions, he has 3 forced fumbles.
Okay.
And two fumble recoveries. So he's causing some fumbles. Dewan Ducey has got 2 fumbles forced, and Charlie Thomas has 2 fumbles forced. So a good chunk of those fumbles that they've caused have come from those 3 men right there.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, protect the ball. But like I said, the interceptions, like Kirby Smart may take that option away.
Yeah, he definitely could. Good call out. All right, man. Anything else on the offense?
On our offense, Kendall Milton looked like he was coming on in the Kentucky game.
He did.
Agree? Disagree? He's been out. Looked like he was running strong. I think he was averaging over 5 yards a carry. So I'm going to look for him to see like if he's progressing, because that would be nice to have some more bodies, more fresh bodies, particularly hard nosed fresh bodies. If he's ready to run like he did, and like we know he can.
Yeah. I think I don't know that I said this anywhere else like publicly, but I think I know I texted to you. Like he looked like freshman Kendall Milton again for the first time in a long time.
Right.
So that was good to see.
Yeah, I agree. Other than that, I'm looking for a bounce back game from Mr. Brock Bowers, who is a Biletnikoff finalist, I believe.
True. Yep.
Which is kind of funny that we have a tight end that is one of the nation's is voted among the nation's best wide receivers.
Yeah, that is pretty funny. I did see that. Oh man.
Yeah. I'd like to have Stetson go out on senior day with a bang.
John, I think there's one more senior we want to look forward to have a big day on senior day, and that's Kearis Jackson.
We would love for Kearis to have a big day. Never doubt Kearis.
Never doubt Kearis Jackson. I think that's about all I got on the offense. Why don't we just take this moment to remind everyone that season 3 of My God, a Podcast is presented by Oxia Time. Oxia Time, as you know, is a custom watch company, and you've got to check out their 2021 Georgia National Championship timepieces. These watches are officially licensed. They now come in 3 versions. You've got the standard version that John and I both have. We love wearing them around on game day. They've got a blackout version and a women's version. One other thing to call out for the standard and the women's version, you get a custom engraving that you can have on the back of it that is included within the price. So if that sounds interesting to you, definitely go check them out at Oxia Time. That's at oxiatime.com, AXIATIME.com. And I know I'll be wearing mine around in Athens this weekend. So if you see a guy with the My God, a Podcast hat on and Oxia timepiece, come over and say hello, and I'll be happy to show it to you. And then one last thing, just remember, exclusively for our listeners, you can get 10% off of one of these timepieces by using the code MyGodAPodcast at checkout. All right, John, let's talk about the the Georgia defense, or what we're going to be looking at when Georgia Tech has the ball. So again, I got some players for Georgia Tech just to call out if you're not so familiar. So first off, let's just start at quarterback. They're pretty down the depth chart at this point. So Jeff Sims was the primary starter. He's out indefinitely with a foot injury. Zach Pyron came in for a bit. He's out for the season with a collarbone injury. Shout out Wes Blankenship. Watch out for your collarbones. And they are at this point, they're playing a bit of a 2-quarterback system. So they've got a guy, Zach Gibson. He's a transfer from Akron. I'll go back to that, the preview thing that I wrote. I know I had looked at all of a bunch of data that Josh Dogstats had put together, and he was like their highest returning PFF graded player from last season, but he wasn't even the starter at Akron. So I think you shouldn't read a whole lot into that one. But anyway, so he's the primary guy right now. But they're running a 2-quarterback system with another transfer from Clemson, and his name is Tyson Pumachan. So had to go into the tech pronunciation guide on him. So he seems to be a bit of more of the kind of zone read run quarterback, but I've seen him unload and throw as well. So it's not definitely going to be a run when you see Pumachan in there either. At running back, they've got Hassan Hall is the leading rusher, 115 carries for 520 yards and a touchdown. But then Dante Smith has less carries and yards, 77 carries for 386 yards, but 5 touchdowns. And then the leading receiver is Nate McCollum. He's got 54 catches for 590 yards and 3 touchdowns. So a little bit about the guys over there from Georgia Tech.
Just scraping the bottom of the barrel on offense is really what I'm hearing as far as the quarterback goes. That's all you need to know. Like, imagine if Georgia had to pull out their 3rd string quarterback to get by the season. I imagine everybody feels a lot different about it.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, and again here, I just I guess the thing that I will be looking for is just continuing to watch how the edge gets set by our defense. I feel like, we're definitely missing Nolan Smith. I don't think we don't have anyone that was truly able to replace him. But so something to watch out there for sure. And then I think like the continued, I don't know if even emergence is the right word, emergence development of a couple of guys, Javon Bullard and Kamari Lassiter, right? I know you called out Lassiter a couple of games back, and I think he's kind of continued that trend. He's continued to look elite to me.
Yeah, he's the heir apparent, man. We've got a fantastic secondary up and coming.
Yeah,
I imagine we'll look to see like if they decide to start throwing the ball, if they're gonna attack Keely Ringo. That seems to be the method, and then if we've got Chambliss out there, I started noticing towards the end of the Kentucky game when Chambliss was out on the field, most of the plays seemed to go his direction, whether they were running off tackle or trying to get to pass plays that way. Effectively seemingly signaling that they knew that he was the weakest link, or that his edge was the weakest link. So those are some things that I'll be watching for, is like, is Chambliss going to be playing? I don't know. Based on what we've seen, it seems like he's the guy that they seemingly trust, even though kind of similar to Ringo, like he just doesn't really show it 100% on the field. Unlike Ringo, he's not come up with these like moments of like, wow, that must be why they want you on the field kind of moments.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where I was going with the whole edge setting. I don't know, yet another senior guy to watch out to see if maybe he can help set that edge and do something. Could be
Robert Beal.
So, always look out for Robert Beal. Bobby Beal. We haven't called him Bobby Beal, so much since media days.
Bobby Beal needs he's due for a breakout game.
Yeah. 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 So yeah, I mean, like I said, like I think their offense has definitely struggled. I mean, these guys have been struggling to put up points. And then I don't know, like you add that and mix that in with our defense. Doesn't seem like a very good formula for success for the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, the old Ramblin' Rex. Did you know why they call him Ramblin' Rex, Jim? That was another fun fact that I didn't talk about, but I just totally remember.
Bring it back, or bring it in now.
Apparently, during the construction of the Panama Canal, the Georgia Tech alumni were working extensively on the Panama Canal, and I guess that they fashioned up a contraption, a mode of transport, if you will, to get them into and out of the jungle, and they were affectionately referred to the Ramblin' Rex.
Interesting.
And I guess that they brought that back to Georgia Tech, and someone decided to model, what it was, a Model A or Model T, I can't remember. One of those old timey Ford vehicles decided it was going to be a Ramblin' Wreck.
Got it. I didn't know that. These are kind of things like I should know because like I had family that went to Tech, but
I bet they don't even know it.
I love it. All right. I guess special teams. Let's see here. What did I have for special teams? So for special teams, a couple of players to call out. So their kicker is a guy named Gavin Stewart. He's 11 of 12 on extra points, 12 of 13 on field goals, and their punter is David Shanahan. He's got a 43-yard punt average, and that's good for sixth in the ACC. So just a couple of guys there. Those are their specialists. Again, fair catches on kickoffs for Georgia, please. Yeah. I don't know, like, what is the deal with our kickoff return coverage? Our kickoff return unit this year, I guess we don't return a ton of kicks. But man, like we've taken a step back in that area this season. So I don't know. I at this point, I'm just of the mindset of like, just fair catch it.
Yeah. What's the guy's name? Scott Strickland?
Well, Strickland. Well, Strickland is the strength guy. So it was. Was Cochran? Scott Cochran.
Scott Cochran.
Yeah. Which apparently he is technically still the special teams coach. So
I mean, I don't know. Ever since he came back, and I hesitate to say this, but ever since he's come back, it's kind of coincided with the drop off, right?
That's a good question.
I feel like this is his first season back, right?
Right. Yeah. He was basically out for last year. Although like he's not like a full-time, or he's an analyst, but he's still listed as a special teams coach. So kind of interesting there. So
yeah.
All right.
It's uncomfortable at best.
Right. Yeah, no. That is fair. Like I said, we have not, that has not been our strength this season. So either pick that up or, like I said, just fair catch it on kickoff returns. Again, hopefully we only return one kickoff this game. So, we'll see. All right. You ready to hit the listener questions?
Let's hit them.
All right. First up, we tabled this one last week. Will Kaplan has come in with an extensive list of Thanksgiving sides and wants us to power rank them. So there are many sides. I was thinking, John, what if we just make like what has to be on your plate, and we can maybe cut it at 5. Although I think my 5 is already cheating. So here's what he got. He's got mashed potatoes. He's got dressing, green bean casserole, Brussels sprouts, mac and cheese, rolls, cranberry sauce, corn pudding, gravy, sweet potato casserole, and then he's got some desserts. So let's table the desserts.
I was about to say, we got to table those desserts. That's not fair.
So so here's mine. So I'm going to go, can I combine mashed potatoes and gravy? Because we always do mashed potatoes and gravy. Can that be one?
Yeah. Okay. I would say.
Okay. So I'm going to go mashed potatoes and gravy, dressing, mac and cheese, rolls, and then just to have something somewhat healthy, I'd say the green bean casserole. I'd put that in there. But if I extend to 6, I'll go with the sweet potato casserole because I like that.
Are we gonna have a debate on what dressing versus stuffing is?
I don't like stuffing. I'm all dressing. So I grew up. We only did dressing growing up, and I think at one point I might have called it stuffing. But
is it cornbread dressing or is it dressing?
Yes, the cornbread dressing. That's what we have. Yeah. Is that what you do?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we do. I'm not a huge fan of dressing slash stuffing in general.
They're definitely two different things. But anyways,
Well, either I'm not a fan of
you're not big on
either
either. So
one. Yeah,
they're not high in your power rankings.
no, they're not high on my power
Hmm.
rankings.
Okay. Okay.
I would say green bean casserole, mac and cheese. Let's see, green bean casserole, mac and cheese, sweet potato casserole is an absolute must.
Hmm.
So that's three, and then I gotta have a roll. We have the yeast rolls to
Yes.
kind of sop it all up. And if I
Yes.
had to extend, I love the fact that he threw corn pudding out here because I feel like that a lot of folks that I know that are admittedly from Georgia have never had corn pudding as part of their Thanksgiving
Okay.
dinner or dinners. Have you ever had corn pudding?
Yeah. I mean, we generally do. I'm trying to think if I've had it, and this is where like if my parents are listening or like, oh, whatever, Jim, like we always had this or something, and like I'm trying to remember here. But because we always had like we were big on cornbread, and then because like so my granny, my mom's mom, like had like legendary cornbread, and she would usually make the dressing. And so like that's
Mm,
where right. And so like and then my mom, makes granny's dressing, like we'll say, right. So with the
okay.
corn pudding, if we had it, I probably wasn't a big fan. I didn't like corn growing up in general. I liked cornbread, but I love corn now. But like as a kid, I was anti-corn.
This is where you play like that like popular TikTok video. It's corn. So corn pudding for me
Okay.
is a couple of different things. So we have corn casserole and we have corn pudding. So my wife makes corn casserole, which is actually phenomenal and would be also like a included in this like no my number six or whatever.
Okay.
So it's actually like a box of Jiffy mix,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Jiffy mix, and then butter, I think cream corn, and then like a couple of eggs, and it's literally that's all you do is mix all that together and throw it in a baking pan, and it's phenomenal.
Nice.
It's almost like a cornbread, corn casserole kind of thing, but
Okay.
corn pudding in the sense that I think that what he's referring to here is like this jiggly substance. Like it really kind of looks like pudding, basically. And I've only ever really had it from my aunt, and then I liked it so much that I made my mom make it and it's kind of become like a little bit of a thing for us, even though my family, like my wife and kids, they don't really like it.
Mm.
It's almost like a dessert. It's like a really sweet, I mean, it kind of tastes like corn jello, basically. Like,
Gotcha.
and jello is probably not fair, but it's like a creamy jello, which pudding, whatever. That's how my aunt used to make it. So everybody like jokes about like, oh, that one dish your aunt brings that you're gonna be
Mm.
forced to eat. Like
Right.
that's actually I actually enjoyed
You
her
ended up
doing
liking
this.
it.
Yes.
Nice. Nice.
Is Aunt Jean gonna bring the corn pudding?
Amazing. All right, let me ask you this. Let on his desserts. If you had to pick just one of these
Pecan pie.
for
Pecan pie,
Thanksgiving,
end of
it's pecan
story.
pie. Okay.
Pecan pie.
Mm.
Every time it's pecan pie.
Okay. So his list is apple pie, pumpkin pie, pecan pie. Mine's pumpkin. For Thanksgiving is pumpkin pie. Christmas it's apple pie. FYI, I gotta have apple pie at Christmas. So that's my take.
John has a weakness, and it is pecan pie. And if you make it like I have my father-in-law has mentioned that he's going to be bringing a bourbon chocolate pecan pie.
Okay. Now you have my attention.
Yeah, that's like one of those record scratch moments, like
Right. Oh, nice. Okay. Fair enough. He did have a follow-up that we also skipped last week. So appropriate amount of trash talk to Georgia Tech affiliated family members at Thanksgiving. I'm not going to be around any this Thanksgiving. I would say in general, like all the trash talk. Personally, I stopped the trash talk amongst my Georgia Tech friends many years ago. I just stopped because we all got too mad at each other one time. So I stopped there. But amongst family, have at it. I'd say all the trash talk.
If you bring it up, it's going to end poorly. So I just try to stay away from the trash talk. And one of my buddies in the workout crew likes to give me a hard time whenever I'm trying to talk trash to anybody else. It's like you punch up, don't punch down.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
So
that's fair.
I'll let them punch up in perpetuity.
Do not fire until fired upon.
Exactly. The rules of engagement dictate that I not lob a bazooka rocket.
Okay, fair enough.
When they're shooting peas at me.
Right. All right. Well, hopefully that sufficed. I know we had waited over a week to get to that. So
yeah.
Let's see. John Michael D. To quote the famous broadcaster of the baseballs, "What are you doing?" on short yardage situations the last 2 weeks. I don't want a Munson, so was it just a night for old lady luck? I think we talked about that earlier, kind of ad nauseum. So I don't know. Like, we agree.
It's cause for concern, and it has been for a while. So at this point in the season, it's one of those things where that's just the identity of this offense. It's just part of the fabric. That's not something that we're going to be able to fix on a week-to-week basis. You might be able to fix something like that with in between the SEC championship and the CFP, or the national championship. What's the gap between SEC and the first round of the playoff?
Oh man, like 3 weeks ish.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So if you remember, like, we got absolutely boat raced in the SEC championship, and everybody decided to start running basically last year. Yeah. So there are definitely things that you can fix in between that gap, but on a week-to-week basis, we're just going to have to deal with this for now.
Yep.
That's my take.
Man. Yeah. Yeah. I want to see us try something else other than the jumbo package. We're at that whole like definition of insanity moment right now. And then John Michael D also wanted an updated count on how many L's are in Billy this year. So I know we talked a good bit about the Tennessee loss to South Carolina. We didn't so much talk about Florida losing to Vanderbilt. So that's a thing that also happened. So the count is up to 5. There are 5 L's in either Florida or Billy, however you want to do it. So.
Florida.
Man. I thought they would struggle in year one under Billy Napier, but man, 5 L's. Whew. Okay.
When was the last time Kentucky and Vanderbilt beat Florida in the same season?
Oh, no, there's a trivia question. I don't know. Wouldn't it be great if it was like 2 years ago? I don't think that's right either, but just for laughs.
2 years from now, it will be.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right. I like this one from Zach SC Dog 864. Which ACC mascot would win a Royal Rumble style fight? So this is a throwback callback to our Mike Leach with the Pac-12. So I didn't do as much analysis as I had originally planned on. So here's a couple of things I'm going to throw out at you. And I'm going to try to say this in things that Mike Leach would type say. You've got the Clemson Tiger. Tiger would be pretty formidable. Mm-hmm. Virginia Tech Hokie. I'm not exactly sure what that is.
Turkey.
Like, where's there?
It's a castrated turkey.
But so how that's not going to do much against the Tiger. So it's already out, right? The Duke Blue Devil. Does it have magical powers? Like what exactly is going on here? I don't really know. I did apologies to who came in with this in the replies. It was like, my money. Maybe Zach could follow with this on his own. That my money's on the natural disaster. Being the Miami Hurricane. So, which my question on Miami is it the hurricane or is it like the crane or whatever the thing is? Like their dressed up mascot that's on the sideline.
Right.
These are the kinds of things you've got to think about.
Yeah. And then you got the Louisville Cardinal or
Louisville Cardinal. You got the Florida. We haven't even mentioned the Yellow Jacket, which I feel like the Yellow Jacket's out. That's not going to do much damage. Unless one of its adversaries is like allergic to its sting or something.
The Fighting Irish. Let's see what.
They're only halfway in. You got the UNC.
What's the University of Pittsburgh? Yeah, Tar Heel.
They're Panthers. The Panthers.
Ooh, Panther and a Tiger matchup, like a little Shere Khan and Bagheera situation going on there. That could be a fight for the ages.
I mean,
My money's probably on the Tiger though. What's Syracuse, the giant orange?
right. Yeah. Like what's the origin?
Ooh,
Boston College Eagle.
a Cavalier could be pretty formidable.
Does he have a sword? Is he on a horse? See, these are
Yeah,
the kind of Mike Leach questions.
a Cavalier has to be on a horse in order by definition, I believe.
Yeah, but like the Trojan, he asked the same question. Like, is the Trojan on the horse for USC? Mike Leach on the Pac-12. So I don't know, man. I still feel like magical powers for the Blue Devil. Like, what exactly is a Blue Devil? So I'm gonna kind of lead Blue Devil. I mean, he's got a pitchfork, and I assume some sort of magic.
Well, if we're assuming magic, then I'll go with the Blue Devil as well. But
you're still gonna take these other things that were a natural disaster. I mean, the natural disaster is only like certain times of the year.
I figure like I guess is that the official mascot?
They are the Miami Hurricanes, but there's the little bird. Let's go with it as the bird.
The bird, the crane.
Yeah, isn't like a crane.
Yeah. It's what is it?
And if you take the magic aside, you gotta
he's
go.
He's an ibis or ibis.
I don't even know what that is.
I mean, I'm literally reading this.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, I'm not familiar with that animal.
The ibis. He's the mascot. He's the official mascot for the Miami Hurricanes.
Okay.
So I guess that comes into it. Like, are we talking? So we're talking like the actual the actual guys that are in costumes.
I knew this was gonna happen.
Yes, I love it.
I knew it was gonna happen. Okay, so yeah. So wait, you were where were you leaning earlier? Was it the Tiger?
I was leaning Tiger.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty good. That's probably your best bet.
I mean, I think if we're actually going like the guys in the costumes, like I don't know that duck is pretty legit. I mean, ibis or whatever it is.
Right. Amazing. Okay,
he has like chains and stuff. Like the Clemson Tiger is like more of like a. I feel like he's like a poor man's version of the Auburn Tiger, right?
Yeah.
Which Aubie is his name.
Right, which makes sense because Auburn is Clemson without a lake, so I feel like that checks out. All right, I'm still going Blue Devil because I've decided that he's had magical powers, so that's
he does have magical powers.
All right, let's see. Fletcher Proctor, which Georgia Tech coach would you least want to have over for Thanksgiving dinner? George O'Leary lied about what he brought. Geoff Collins, Geoff Collins would require a booster seat. Paul Johnson knows everything, leading to arguments, and Chan Gailey would lose his plate and leave quickly. I'm gonna go Paul Johnson. I feel like Paul Johnson would be the biggest like curmudgeon and someone who I don't want around.
Yeah, he's a big old codfish. So I feel like as much crap as we give Geoff, he seems like a pretty nice person. Means well.
Yeah. I actually feel like he would probably be fine.
Chan Gailey seems like that, like a drunk uncle. I don't know. Like
I think that's George O'Leary.
I could see that too. I don't know. Chan Gailey just seems like that old guy that just kind of hangs out. So
right.
George O'Leary, I feel like would be fiery. He'd be like the drunken bastard that would like ruin everything.
Right.
I mean, he would like come up to you and strip your red shirt off and give you a yellow shirt.
True. We don't want any of that.
I don't want any of that. So I guess I'll go with George because as much as curmudgeon and codfish, the old codfish Paul Johnson. I don't want someone to strip me naked and give me Georgia Tech clothes. Okay,
fair enough. While we're on Fletcher's question, I'll give the Georgia basketball a few seconds. Fletcher wanted me to point out that Georgia was able to build, I think it was an 11-point lead on Bucknell by deploying a 1-3-1 defense, which was nice. That's something Jim Herrick used to do. And then we're recording on Tuesday. Georgia unfortunately lost in the championship game of this like in-season tournament they were in this week. So, but they made it to the championship game, which was nice. Had a good first half against UAB, but kind of ran out of steam. UAB was favored by 8.5. We kind of ran out of steam, but much improved. The team looks a lot more cohesive than last year. So Fletcher, there's my basketball minute. 4-2 on the season, I believe. I'm getting it right. All right, let's see. Brian Michelis, since it's an off week, I'd like to know, how did it come about to start up a podcast, and who came up with Munson reference name? Sorry if y'all covered this before in season 1. So I'll do like the quick version. I came with the podcast. The Munson reference, I had that in the bag in my back pocket for years. I had wanted to do a podcast for years and had just never done it. I actually got that from Atlanta Sean. He's on Twitter. We actually talked about this when we had Logan and Walker on from Second String. So Logan Booker years ago had put out a tweet that he was trying to come up with a name for a Georgia podcast. This guy, Atlanta Sean, responded and said, "My God, a podcast." Logan did not use that name, or whoever he was trying to do, they didn't use that name. So I had always that's actually where I got that from. So I kept that around. Munson was very near and dear to both of us. Another story I've told that I won't get into again right now. I once picked up Larry Munson from his house and drove him to a Georgia homecoming parade. So there was that. And then basically, it was like pandemic, and I wanted to start a podcast, and I was very last minute, and I texted John and was like, "Hey, you want to do a podcast?" like the week of the Georgia Arkansas game. I think I gave you very little
I was like,
heads
yeah.
up.
I was like, yeah, that would be great. Like, when do you want to start? And he's like, tomorrow.
It's true story. True story. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So apologies. I need to dig up. We tweeted out from the podcast account. I think like there was one of those like trends going, like how it started, how it's going, or whatever. I'll look for that tweet, because I actually had the screenshot of when I texted you, because you like, in true like me and you fashion, like your reply was like a meme. Like, I don't think it was a GIF. I think it was like the guy squinting from Futurama or something. Like something like that.
Not sure if serious or.
But again, like we had basically got to the point where we were texting so much about football. We figured, hey, let's just turn those texts into a podcast. And that's what this
exactly. And just make it be like two guys talking about two buddies just talking about football.
Yeah. So,
we didn't really give it much fanfare that it probably deserved, but it was episode 100, the Kentucky episode. So the Kentucky review. We didn't give it much fanfare.
Did I even say it? I don't even know if I said it. I meant to say it.
I think you did episode 100. I think you said it at the beginning, but
okay.
Like we got into it. We had to talk about Georgia Tech. We kind of had some technical difficulties.
Holy cow! Yes.
But yeah, the episode this is 101. So.
Yeah. Hey, look at us. Look at us. Who would have thought? It is pretty crazy. By the way, the technical difficulties were with my computer. So gonna be looking into that.
Good old Apple.
Holy cow. All right, 51-7 GATA. He starts off with a quote of me from a couple episodes back. Humility is only 60 minutes away. So he said, "What is the worst loss to Tech?" Man, he's got some doozies. 98, Joe Hamilton did fumble. 1999, Jasper Sanks did not. 2000, 3 fingers from George Godsey. 2008, 48 points with the option. 2014, the worst coach, 18 seconds ever. 2016 gave the game away. Never forget FTMF. 51-7 GATA says, and I agree. Like, don't forget what these guys do when they do beat us. They tear up our hedges. They have no respect for Dooley Field at Sanford Stadium. Don't forget that kind of stuff. There's plenty of documentation of those guys tearing up our hedges and put them in their mouth and all that garbage. So he said his top three were 98, 2014, and 99. I mean, for me, it's 99. Like 98, it's either 98 or 99, but I'm going to go with 99 because I stormed out of the stadium by myself and left everyone who I was with, and they all got mad at me, including my now wife.
I can't just have to picture an angry storm. I can't do this.
I was so bad. I did that after the game was over, but I just walked and I guess people behind me from my group, they got caught up, in the shuffle somewhere, and I just kept going, and eventually I was like, "Where is everybody?
Where'd you guys go?"
So I'm gonna go 99.
99. Okay. Oh man, 2014 sticks out pretty brutally.
Yeah, that was bad. That one was brutal.
2008 is also pretty rough.
Yep. We were up by
Yeah.
16 points at the half, and they tied it up in 2 drives with 2-point conversion both times. It was
I gotta
crazy.
go with 2008 because 48 points with the option is a lot of points.
yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. And there were high expectations of that team. That was the preseason number 1 team that had a lot of injuries that year. So,
Yep.
All right, let's move on to some happier topic from UGA Hoops Mafia. Other than Reggie Ball's throwaway on 4th down, what's the most iconic moment in the rivalry? That's a great question.
The most iconic. All right, so I had an answer to this. Like, he was talking about, like, what do I think of as the most iconic? But I guess I need to take the broader, like, fandom.
You can answer it for yours. That's fine.
I mean, for me, there's 2. So there's the Paul Oliver interception.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I can't remember exactly what year that was.
2006.
2006. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the only reason because I thought Paul Oliver was just an absolute freak of nature, and it was just super tragic what happened after that. But
yep.
I have some friends of ours, like, the wife was like really good friends with him, and like had text messages from him because I guess he went to her high school or something.
Okay.
But yeah, like that Paul Oliver interception like really sticks out to me.
Yeah.
Just because of the jubilation I had when he picked it off.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
The other one was Massaquoi.
Yeah, and unless I'm getting my years wrong, that's the same game. Unless I'm getting mixed up. Hopefully I'm not. I'm usually better about that stuff because I'm questioning myself, but I'm pretty sure that's the same game. That was definitely 2006.
Because he caught it, and then they had to go back on offense. They had to go back on defense, right?
Yeah, and then Reggie Ball threw the pick to Oliver. That's how I remember it in my head. Whether or not that's all the same game. I'm pretty sure that's right. Yeah, man. That was a great. So Massaquoi, that's one of mine. That was a great call by Munson as well. The way he said Massaquoi. And just like the building up, like before we snapped the ball in that play, like Munson said, "You win or you lose here." It was awesome. It was a great call. That's a good one.
Like those are like my recent. Those are like recent ones. Like, what other like iconic moments would there be other than Reggie Ball throwing it out?
Yeah. So I think like over the history of time, people would say like the game, like the drought ending. And so like Theron Sapp, I'm not sure if Theron Sapp, like he's known as the drought breaker, because we were in the biggest losing streak to Tech ever, and he was the hero of that game to break that streak against Georgia Tech. So I think that's a big one. Another one that people point to a lot was actually Buck Bellew as a freshman, made some really big plays at the end of the game in '78 at Georgia Tech. To win that game. So those are some other, going back a little bit further moments that I think people would point to. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna go to the next question. So if you had another iconic, go to it.
I was gonna just like not so much an iconic moment, just like I'm remembering something we talked about in a previous episode for Kentucky, and then this. So if you remember I talked about like Kentucky's biggest rival and how it was Tennessee.
Yeah.
I think that they had played for like 113 years or something like that. Mm-hmm. This is 114. So like, yeah, you talk about. I think we mentioned it, like the rivalry of that. You just like everybody knows like Georgia Tech clean. It has a moniker, clean old fashioned hate.
Yeah.
But like if we're teeing it up for the 114th time, and Kentucky and Tennessee have played 113 times, like that's these are the things, like when you talk about like rivalries and like keeping college football the way that it should be, like this is a game that should absolutely always be played, and I don't care what anybody says about it. I have been it's kind of like when you're a younger person, you have different feelings. When you're an older person, as you get older and more mature and have a different outlook on life. And this is one of those wisdom moments where there was a moment when I was an undergrad and maybe like post college where I thought that we should get rid of this game. This is not a game that you get rid of. This is
Yeah,
not a
no.
game.
Yeah,
This is not a game. Even in the world of expanding college football playoffs, SEC and conference expansion, like this is a game that no matter what, like we have to play. Like I don't want to get into a situation where we're Oklahoma State, and all of a sudden we're not playing that game, or you're Texas and Texas A&M, and you're not playing that game anymore. Like no, that's not an
we
option.
can't. Yeah, I agree. Don't listen to Mike Griffith.
Yes.
So
without saying it, like that's definitely.
So, but bonus fun fact: there are only 13 rivalries in FBS, so what we used to call 1A, that have been played more times than Georgia Tech. So, this is an old rival. I know like the number one most played rivalry game actually is Minnesota Wisconsin at 131 times, and then tied for second, Georgia Auburn at 127 times. So
nice.
This game and the Auburn game, you can't. They have to be played annually. And if you think otherwise, get off my lawn.
That's crazy that UGA has two of the top ones.
The top, yeah, it is pretty crazy. All right, I'm still going to read this one over, even though I hope that we have answered this throughout the show. Tenured instructor, our buddy Craig Lawson, also a contributor over at Dog Central. He said, who are Tech's players this season? I can't name a single one. So, Craig, when we previewed the offense and defense and special teams, we threw out some names. So hopefully we got some guys for you now. So you will now be prepared on Saturday. Chad Jarvis said, do you think we limit how deep we go into the playbook, kind of like against Kentucky? Also, do you think a heavy dose of the run game again? I'm not sure. We talked about that earlier. Like we're not really sure what to make of it.
I thought we were going to throw the ball last time. But...
Yeah. So I don't know. I'll say this. I mean, I don't know that we limited the playbook last year. We certainly didn't limit the points last year. Kirby doesn't like these guys. They beat Georgia in his last game at Sanford Stadium when he was a senior. That was my freshman year. That was a 98 game we mentioned a little bit ago. So no love lost for these guys from Kirby. So I don't know. I don't think he's going to hold back. So we'll see.
He never holds back. He's like he's going to be like the reincarnation of Ert Russell on this week, where he has like to hell with Georgia Tech and F Tech on the back of his a homemade vest or whatever.
Right. Yes. That's an amazing picture. All right. Let's see. We had Jason Huggins, which Hug Dog, happy birthday. We're recording on Jason's birthday. Happy
birthday.
Let's see. He's got three things. First, does Georgia try to put this away early and get reserves some playing time? I don't know, Jason. We talked about that last week. That was something, John. I know that's one of the things you're looking for. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not sure. I think the other thing is, we'll get to actually his last question is related to what I was about to say. So I'll hold that for a second. But I don't know. Would be nice, but we'll see.
You'd like to see it.
Would love to see it. What Sanford Stadium tradition is your favorite? I think we have the same one, but
wait, what?
What Sanford Stadium tradition is your favorite?
Sanford Stadium tradition is your favorite. Oh, I'd say the Lone Trumpeter is my favorite.
Yes, mine too. And what I always like to add is that started when we were in school, John. So
yeah.
And like I've said this before, but whatever. Like the first time it happened, I was like, "Have I been missing this?" Like it just felt like it had always been there. So always loved that ever since it started. So that's it for me too. Shockingly agree.
When did we start when did we start Krypton? Do you know that? Because that would be like my.
Yeah, that's another good one too.
That would be number two.
Yeah, I don't know when that started. I mean, that is one that, like, at least when we were in school, we did that always. So
if Nathan's listening, he's probably screaming into the.
yeah. Brett Belding probably knows.
Brett, yes.
Okay, I like this one. The last one. Any chance we sub out Stetson so he can get a standing ovation? I would love
probably.
That. Yeah. But
I could see that.
Yep, that would be awesome. Would love to see that. Then he just closed with very thankful for you guys. Go Dogs. So Jason, we are thankful for you. Thank you for the questions. And being a gracious host of us. And once again, happy birthday.
Yes.
All right, John, it is time.
Robert Deal.
Oh my God! Trying to put glasses on it.
It is time for Coach Trillbill's over-unders. John, as you are still in the lead, you get to choose. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I'm going to let you go first.
I will go first. First one, starting with the offense. Over-under 495 total yards for the Georgia offense. I will go under.
I'm also going to go under.
Okay, your turn. Over-under 20.5 first half points.
I'm going to go under.
I'm going to go over. Different players that score. Over under 3.5. It's my turn. I'm going to say over.
I'll go over.
Okay. All right, your turn. Switching to the defense. Over under 1.5 forced turnovers by the Georgia defense.
I'm going to go over.
Man, I like your answer better than mine because I'm going to say under. All right, my turn. Over under 2.5 sacks for the Georgia defense. I'm going to go over.
I'm going over as well.
Okay, and then your turn. Over under first half points allowed by Georgia, 6.5.
I'm going to go under.
Okay. Let's see. Wait, did I say that? Did I answer that yet, or did you just go?
You did not answer, although you could choose not to.
I was just counting something. I got lost for a second.
Take the L.
No, I'm taking the under. I was trying to figure something out. Okay, under on that, and then so next, my turn. Special teams over under 3.5 Georgia Tech punts. I'm gonna go over. Okay, we both went over, and then his miscellaneous over under. This isn't a rivalry. References on Twitter during the game. Over under set at 50.
I'm gonna take the over.
Agreed. You're lucky that I had already written down over. We're the same. No, there's no chance of us getting of that costing anyone. Awesome. All right. Well, Coach, as always, thank you for the questions. We much appreciate them. And for the over unders. However, we have a bonus from Coach Trill this week. Coach Trill added a question. So he said, and I have a question. Since the newest Tech tradition is being the brunch bunch game of the week on ESPN the Saturday after Thanksgiving, what Thanksgiving leftovers are we eating while watching the annihilation of Tech? And John, do you have any cocktail recommendations? So I know we'll be at the game, so won't be eating, but if I was at home, I'm always eating a leftover turkey sandwich, preferably on one of the leftover rolls. So that's my go-to as far as leftovers go.
Yeah, I usually will do so I'm not a huge turkey guy. I know it's sacrilegious or whatever, but I'm a big ham guy. So we will have ham as well as turkey.
Okay.
And typically what I do is a little 2-to-1 ratio of ham to turkey sandwich. And then I layer it with a little bit of leftover various casseroles. Green bean casserole is typically going to be hard to come by as a leftover in our house, but there's usually a lot of sweet potatoes. So sometimes I'll have sweet potato casserole and ham and turkey sandwich situation.
Nice. Do you have a Thanksgiving / Georgia Tech game cocktail you'd recommend?
I was just about to say, is it a Saturday cocktail or is it a after Thanksgiving cocktail?
Yeah, I think he said on the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So yeah, so Saturday after Thanksgiving cocktail.
Honestly, Saturday I'll probably just be going straight up bourbon as my beverage, and I do have some Classic City Lager. That's kind of been my go-to lately for game days.
Yep.
As far as the cocktail goes, I have if I'm making a cocktail, I'll probably do one of two. I have a pecan simple syrup that John kind of got me in on. A pecan simple syrup with old fashioned. So basically, I guess it would be like a pecan old fashioned.
Okay.
As my cocktail of choice. I need to see if I can order some. There's on Amazon, I can post a link. On Amazon, there's a smoked brown sugar that if you order this will give you a nice little smoky flavor. you wouldn't need it if you're using the pecan syrup because that's basically like a, kind of a one easy button cocktail recipe. Because it's got the bitters and all that kind of stuff in it. But there is a brown sugar that I sometimes will just add just to give it like a hint of smokiness. But yeah, it's a smoked brown sugar. I don't know how they make it, but it definitely, you open the package and take a whiff, and it smells like a fire in a plastic brown sugar container.
Nice. Yeah, I know. I sent you a video of the smoked.
Oh yeah, that's
box.
cool.
Yeah. So that was on Sunday. A buddy of mine's 50th birthday, and we had some smoked bourbons. Another buddy of ours has a little box, and you actually there's a little like intake incinerator where you burn little pieces of wood and it sucks them in to get the smokiness. So that was pretty cool. So those are
I've seen a number of these out there, and I've talked with John about this because he and I are kind of like, we're always kind of on the hunt for like a smoky bourbon for the fall.
Yeah.
It's not an easy find. So one thing that I haven't purchased, but I feel like just like scientifically just makes more sense to me is this like the smoke top thing. Have you seen this? Where you put the little, it's like you put the top on it and it covers your glass. And then you put the wood chips in this little chimney kind of thing that sticks out of it, and then you like fire it up, and then the smoke just kind of drops down into the
right
glass.
there on top of the glass.
Like literally just like the smoke just like engulfs the entirety of the glass. Whereas like you said, you put it in a box and you kind of you're hoping that it comes into the glass. Whereas this is literally using the force of gravity to drop that smoke down into your glass. So
interesting.
I have a feeling that it just makes more sense to do that. And I have a buddy that runs an Instagram page called Whiskey Consensus. Shout out to him. Shout out to Matt Evans. He has told me that those smoke tops work really, really well.
Nice. I have to try that out. Check that out. All right, let's do our final predictions. So this game, so another big point spread. So Georgia is favored by 35.5. The over under is 49. That gives you an implied score of Georgia 42.25 to Georgia Tech 6.75. Oddshark has it at Georgia 46.6 to Georgia Tech 20.2. That'd be a win, not a cover in the over. Over at Chapel Bell Curve, those guys at Dog Quant, the CBC R2 Sam has Georgia 43 to Georgia Tech 5.9. Something I've been continuing to track, and John, I've now shared the spreadsheet with you, is the whole like Georgia impact scoring that I've been looking at. So updated with all of our opponents' statistics and our game against Kentucky. We are now against the Power Five, and then also looking at their Power Five opponents as well. We are holding teams to 17.02 points below their average on average, and then we're also scoring 10.51 more points on teams than they get scored on average against the Power Five. So if you're to do that and apply our impact to Georgia Tech's average scores, we would win this game basically 38-1 if you round some out. So yeah.
Yes.
So
you're saying that there's a chance that we could potentially shut them out.
Right. There is a chance. There's a chance. This is one of those, again, this is the whole, like, not to be dismissive thing. We talked about protect the ball. We've got to protect the ball. If we protect the ball, we take care of business. That's the model. That's really, like you've been saying, John, that's the model. That's the path against everyone, really, for Georgia at this point. Don't know what's going to go on the weather, right? Weather could be a factor. Shouldn't be as cold, but rain in the forecast, etc. So, but having said all that, I'm going to go Georgia. I'm going to go 38-6 is my prediction.
38-6. I was going to go 42-6. I'm pretty much on par with CBC's predictor.
Okay.
Sorry.
A little Champ Bailey appearance is always fine. That's always welcome.
Champ Bailey's involved.
So I guess around college football, I was just going to call out like the the playoff rankings came out tonight on Tuesday. But no movement obviously in the top four. Tennessee is obviously not there at 5 anymore. But last week we had kind of talked about like, would you want to happen? I still at this point I'm kind of looking for and like not chaos in that like I want like the teams that are up there to keep winning to make the committee have to decide who to put in. I keep seeing all these people like Alabama has a path kind of stuff, and like people throwing out all these crazy scenarios there. So I mean whatever. Like but you've got Baylor has Iowa. Sorry, not Baylor. TCU. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just about to say, like, let's just run through it for the people. Like, let's talk about the potential chaos that there is out there.
Yeah, so TCU has Iowa State, so that's their last game before the Big 12 championship. You've got USC is the other player out there.
How does TCU get a 4:00 game? God, this is the that makes me so angry.
Then you've got USC has Notre Dame. So USC Notre Dame.
That's a big game.
Yep. So that's a big one. That is a big one. And then I mean the other Ohio State Michigan. I mean that's the big game of the weekend. And for that one, that one is one definitely to watch. Because
that's a nooner. I'm thinking that at noon.
I'm telling you, man, that's where the big that is it on Fox though? Is that their big noon kickoff?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I'm telling you, man, the TV likes that noon. They like that noon slot. It's not Jefferson Pilot, but
I feel like that game is always I feel like that game is never at night though.
Yeah. That usually is a day game there. So, but that one's huge, and like if that is a close game, I think the loser is not eliminated from the playoff. Especially if Michigan wins. I think Ohio State could still. I don't think that's necessarily an elimination game, even though I think it should be, because, my opinion is if you can't even win your division of your conference, how can you be the champion of the nation? But whatever. So those are the big things going on there. Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, you got the Iron Bowl. One way to put
Cadillac
the final
Williams.
nail in that, Cadillac Williams could, maybe he puts the final nail in that coffin.
Come on down, buddy. Although it could be Lane Kiffin by that point, right?
Right. Yeah. Seriously. Yeah. People are talking. Who knows?
People are tweeting and retweeting.
Yeah, it's all over the place. No secrets there. So
stupid Lane.
So yeah, but I mean, there's a lot going on. It's rivalry weekend all around.
Let's run through it.
Big playoff implications in those games. I'll take TCU
to all of the ranked opponents. Like, let's see, you got.
I'll take TCU over Iowa State. I'll take that.
TCU over Ohio State. Wait, what?
Iowa State.
Oh, Iowa State. Yeah.
Yep. I do think
which if that happens, pretty much, in my opinion, locks in the top four.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so to me, the question is USC. Like, can USC win out? So USC Notre Dame is huge. I think they should win that game. So I'll go with USC if I'm picking. Okay. That's a big one. Who you got? Ohio State, Michigan. Who do you think is going to win there?
Ohio State for sure. I think Ohio State's going to blow them out. Yeah.
Really? Okay, I'm going to go with Michigan just to disagree.
On paper, Ohio State is the only team that can even remotely hang with us.
Yeah.
And that's given the fact that they're playing lesser competition, in my opinion. So if Michigan is their comparable playing similar opponents, I just think that Ohio State wins this running away.
Okay.
And it's at Ohio State too, I believe, right? Yeah. So it's at home. So
okay.
As we've discussed, it's hard to win on the road.
That is true. It will be. I guess we'll be following that score from the stadium because same time. So,
which if Ohio State wins, and let's say that they win, like I guess, and to a point, are they both undefeated? I can't remember.
Ohio State and Michigan.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're number 2 and 3 in the current playoff rankings. Both undefeated.
Yeah. That's what I thought. So, maybe Michigan drops to 4, setting up a rematch with UGA and Michigan in the Peach Bowl potentially.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing, right? And the general thing that I've heard is like Michigan's non-conference schedule is so bad that like they may not be able to get back in because again they're in the same division of that conference, so like they can't rematch the Big Ten championship. So whoever wins that is going to win their side. I don't know if they're they're not legends and leaders anymore. I don't remember what their divisions are, but I know they're in the same side, so they can't like rematch right away. So
Okay.
if Ohio State wins, it sounds like Michigan's probably out. But I mean, who knows? It's all going to depend on all those factors. There's a lot of teams that are still in play.
Some people are going to be so angry.
Oh yeah, yep. Josh is going to be angry because he doesn't like that. The 14 playoff.
Dog stats. Come on.
That's okay. Hey, no longer dog underscore stats, just straight up dog stats. New
Nice.
handle. That's pretty cool. So,
All
right,
right.
man.
So what else you got? LSU, Texas A&M.
Yeah. I mean, like
Is Texas A&M gonna like pull one out right here at the end and just like completely upend LSU's season?
oh man, that would be wild. Because I mean LSU was up there. I mean they're in playoff contention technically, right?
Some other games. Selfishly, NC State, UNC. My father-in-law is a NC State grad, and he has his brother is a UNC grad and siblings UNC. So
Okay.
that's a bit of a Powell / Fox household rivalry game as well.
I mean, if North Carolina was still alive for the playoff until they lost to Georgia Tech last week. So
Right.
Yeah.
I'm figuring that North Carolina is going to win that game, but you never know.
They should. I think they should.
Texas Baylor. Texas is looking pretty good.
Yeah,
money.
I'll take Texas.
Tulane, Cincinnati. That's a top 25 matchup. Surprisingly.
Yeah, Tulane. I mean, I think it's because Tulane has that like old school green wave logo they keep having lately. So I'm gonna go with Tulane.
I'll go Cincinnati for my neighbor.
That's right. Yes, the Trash Pandas.
The Trash Pandas. Yes. Mississippi State, Ole Miss.
Egg Bowl. We got to pick the Egg Bowl.
The Egg Bowl for Hunter. Is it the Lane Kiffin going away party?
I mean, that's kind of what it's sounding like.
Seems that way.
But yeah, I got to go with Ole Miss for Hunter.
But that game's actually that game's tomorrow.
Well, yeah, because we've run late. It's on Thanksgiving Day, right?
Yes. Yeah. Thursday.
Yeah.
UCLA, California.
Yeah.
I like UCLA there. What about South Carolina, Clemson?
Man, I mean, if Spencer Rattler, I mean, is Clemson's defense like Tennessee's?
I know, right? I guess we're gonna find out. That would be amazing if they beat if they beat Clemson. I would love South Carolina to end the season with 2 top 10.
Right? Seriously? Yeah, that would be crazy. I'm gonna go with Clemson, but that would be amazing.
Yeah, I think Clemson comes away with that one. Florida State. Florida avoid the infamous 6 L's?
Can we add yet another L to Florida? I'm gonna go Florida State.
Yes. Was it speaking of L's, isn't if we win this game, then Tech is not bowl eligible.
That is correct. I mean, there's a lot of motivation on the line there for Georgia Tech, right? I mean, like if you go back to that for a minute, right? I mean, it would be in bowl eligibility. This would be, this is their season. I mean, it is every year, right? I mean, you get it from their perspective. They got their interim coach. If they were to beat Georgia, right? I mean, that makes their season and they would get to go to a bowl game. I mean, there's a lot on the line. They're going to be fired up. I mean, they always are. They always put everything. Like we said, they exist to like not like Georgia.
Right.
So,
and then you got Oregon State.
I'm going with Bo Nix and Dan Lanning.
Yeah, I think Dan Lanning's going to pull one out. He's going to have a top 10 finish in his first season. Be pretty crazy. Tennessee Vandy. Vandy's on right. Vandy's riding high. Did you see the SEC shorts?
Yes. I know again, Josh, I don't know where he got it, but it's like the Grim Reaper knocked on the doors. Says the Grim Reaper had knocked on Kentucky's door, knocked on Florida's door, and then is now about to knock on Tennessee's door. Oh man. And no Hendon Hooker. I mean, it's just a reality.
That's true. That's true, man. Like they have a potential problem. Although apparently their backup quarterback is the second coming now.
I'm still gonna go Tennessee. I don't see that happening again.
I like Vandy on that one.
Really?
It's at home.
Okay.
That's
Nice.
what happened. That's what happened in the last one. Vandy got fined like $250,000 for upsetting the last guys. Florida, was it?
Mhm.
Great.
Yeah. And it was the slowest field rushing ever. It was not so much a rush. It was more like they slowly went onto the field. It was kind of funny.
Exactly.
Nice.
Kansas State.
Kansas State.
Kansas State's ranked 15.
Yeah, go Kansas State.
UCF South Florida.
I don't care about that.
It's a top 25 matchup. UCF is ranked.
I have no idea.
Michigan State, Penn State, Utah, Colorado. I don't know. This is like one of the weekends. Like you look back, like I said, you look back on some of these rivalries, and it's like, man, like, do you want to give up this weekend? Like this is a weekend that's like quintessential college football.
Yeah, no, agreed. I mean, you sit around, like you eat Thanksgiving, right? And then like from then, like for the entire weekend, you're watching football.
Not only are you watching football, but you're watching like local rivalries that have been around for like a long time. I mean, you look up and down all these games that we just talked about. I'm not so sure about LSU, Texas A&M. Maybe that's like a thing. I don't know. Probably not, because Texas A&M was in the Big 12, right? But like every single one of these, there's like, I mean, Washington State, Washington.
Yeah, Apple Cup.
Notre Dame, USC, like all.
When is?
up and
Do you have
down.
Apple Cup? What day of the week is that? Do you have that one up? That is Saturday. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Saturday.
So we'll be watching it because Kim's dad went to Washington. So.
It kicks off at 10:30 at night here.
Yeah. Okay. We're not going to watch that. Awesome. All right, man. Well, I know we'll both be there. And when My God, a podcast is all in town, that's been a pretty good omen. So omens, hopefully.
Omens.
We got there,
yes.
right?
We've been pretty successful with us this season when we're both there.
That's right. So yeah, we'll watch the weather and we'll figure out what's going down, who will be there, and we gotta stay in touch throughout the week on the plans there.
Yep, and we got USA plays England on Friday in the World Cup. We haven't mentioned the World Cup at all, which I know that there's a number of people that are rolling their eyes right now at the sound of that. But the World Cup, go USA and go Dogs, right?
That's right. Yeah, very true. Yeah, soccer is a frustrating game to watch at times.
It's one of those things like you and Josh was like taking the bait on all the like this is a playoff.
Right. Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah, man. Yeah, go USA on Friday. I'll be watching that for sure. For sure. I love the World Cup.
Yeah, USA plays England.
What time is it?
That's a good question.
Because I got a time because we're going to be driving from Kim's parents' house to my parents' house on Friday. So I feel like we're going to have to time our drive around that, or I'm going to have to like watch on the phone in the car and have Kim drive.
I was just about to say, I want to say it's 2:00, and it is. It's 2:00 on
2:00.
Friday.
Okay, so I got to figure that out. That could be problematic. I might be watching that in the car, which I can do. That's fine.
Yep.
Cool. Awesome, man. Well, hopefully we're able to sync up on Saturday in the latest edition of Clean Old Fashioned Hate.
Yes, sir. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.